As the cybercrime industry has become industrialized, their attack techniques have become more complex and automated. This in turn has led to an increase in the scalability, frequency, and profitability of these criminal acts. Hi, I'm Deborah Bulkley, Senior Managing Editor of the CSO Custom Solutions Group. As the frequency of breaches continues to grow, CISOs need to understand how the criminals operate and how they can stop them before they infiltrate their network. To learn more about this topic, I recently sat down with Julian Lovelock, Vice President Product Marketing for ActivIdentity, part of HID Global and a leading provider of identity assurance solutions. Julian explained some of the trends he's seeing with respect to today's security threats.
I guess the most significant macro trend, Deborah, is the fact that these attacks are becoming industrialized. There's a reasonably clear, well-structured process that the attackers are following, albeit one that leaves a tremendous amount of room for innovation. And you can almost imagine a textbook that might be written on it. Chapter 1, define the business case. Why are you doing this attack? Is it commercially motivated? Is it politically motivated? Chapter 2, research the target. Learn about their employees. Learn about their customers. Learn about their suppliers. Use Facebook. Use LinkedIn. Do spoof phone calls and use social engineering techniques. Chapter 3, build the weapon that you're going to attack their network with. That's typically a piece of malware. Chapter 4, you'll launch that weapon. You're going to send it as an attachment in an email. You're going to leave it on an infected USB key in the washrooms. Chapter 5, you're in the network. You've infected a single machine. How do you spread out across the network and gain access to the IT resources, the data that you really want to steal? Is it brute force password cracking? Is it sniffing networks? Is it keyboard logging? Chapter 6, you've got the data you want, get the data out there. Chapter 7, sell that data, publicize that data, do whatever you want it to do for your malicious intent.
What's the significance of that structure?
So what the structure gives is a degree of scalability and repeatability. That's what I really mean when I say the process is becoming industrialized, because you can get services that then spring up, aided by the anonymity of the web, which provide services to attackers focused on particular parts of the value chain. So one company can spring up on the web and offer malware kits that an attacker can download to build a piece of malware or a virus. Another company can offer, or another set of criminals can offer botnets. So you as an attacker, you don't have the resources from a computing perspective to launch the attack. No problem, you can rent space on a bot network of infected machines. You're the attacker, you don't know actually how to launder the money that you've stolen from the accounts. Not a problem, you can rent money mules or launder the money through their accounts. So you get this ecosystem that grows up that lowers the barrier to entry of somebody wishing to launch this attack. And that's really what's becoming a significant trend.
Okay, so given that, what insights can you offer, say, for the top 3 business practices for enterprises who want to improve their security?
The enterprises who are doing well are following 3 basic best practice rules, if you like. The first is the definition of a good security policy, one that recognizes the different stages in the attack process, as we kind of outlined in our fictional textbook, and addresses all of them. It doesn't concern itself solely with protection of the perimeter. It recognizes that if you put onto your LinkedIn account details on a job advert of the type of virus checker you used, that's a big clue to somebody launching an attack against your network. And if you're a company looking at developing such a security policy, that's not something you have to do from scratch. There are some very reasonable best practice models out there. You look at something like PCI DSS in the payment cards industry, there's some great common sense guidelines in there, even if you're not in the financial services industry. The second thing that enterprises are doing well is actually training their employees to understand how the attack works and to be on the watch out. Clearly, almost all of these attacks that we see rely on some mistake, some human error, whether it's downloading an attachment from an email and then loading it on your machine when you know full well you're not meant to detach attachments from emails from people you don't recognize. But the key thing here is that 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 event doesn't result in the collapse of the network. So it's not a case, if you fail to stop that event, well, that's one thing. But if you fail to react to it, that's even worse. So putting in place a process by which an employee can say, oops, I think I've done something wrong, and have IT come and look at the machine without fear of recrimination is as important as educating them not to do it in the first place. And then the third thing is really using technology effectively. Again, looking at how you use technology to address all of the points in the attack process. Not just around protecting your perimeter, but also around being able to isolate infected machines, being able to put strong authentication around key resources, be they the HR system, be they a database of customer email addresses, be it customer payment card details. All of the key IT resources, applications, and servers should be protected by strong authentication, even from somebody who's coming in from within the network.
ActivIdentity is a provider of identity assurance for the enterprise.
Mm-hmm.
How does what you offer differentiate from what other companies offer?
So what we really differentiate ourselves by is this idea of versatility. And what that means is that we can support a wide range of different strong authentication methods. So think about trying to protect the perimeter of your network. One-time password tokens may be a tried and tested method. You may also be looking to move a proportion of users onto a mobile phone-based OTP token. That's fine, we can address that. But protecting the perimeter alone is not sufficient, as we've talked about. And so to protect internal systems, be they key servers, key applications, key client workstations even, the ability to offer other authentication methods, most notably smart cards or smart tokens, which brings into play this whole idea of credential management. Being able to manage user credentials. And a credential can be a password, it can be a token, it can be a smart card. A single user can have one or many credentials. A credential can be bound to a particular use case. And our solutions have a degree of versatility in managing credentials. So we can, from a common set of solutions, enable our customers to protect not just the periphery of their network, but also key resources on that network. The other area where we're really well positioned for differentiation is, as part of HID Global, the whole area of convergence. So convergence is about being able to take that credential that you were issued for PACS purposes, that is to say the card that gets you into the building when you start work, and use that to gain secure access to IT resources. How can I take that card, that token, whatever it is that I get issued as an ID badge, as a physical access, and use it to log on to Windows in the morning, to gain access to the HR system, to gain access to the network remotely when I'm in a hotel room traveling? That's what convergence is about. And we have solutions, and obviously we're in exactly the right place as being part of HID Global to offer that ability, that set of abilities. And they bring a rich set of benefits that aren't just limited to the fact that you no longer need to go out and buy one-time password tokens because you can use the card that you're already carrying to get into the building. They also have benefits around operational efficiency, one set of processes to manage that credential, to revoke it, to suspend it, to replace it when it's lost, to issue it when a new user joins the organization. And there are benefits from a security perspective as well. One set of processes, one degree of accountability, one set of audit logs, one set of controls. And there are end user benefits. One device gets you into the building, gets you onto the computer. I have one credential that I as a user carry. I no longer need to worry about reading OTPs off a thing and retyping them into a computer keyboard. So that is our other main point of differentiation, the ability to deliver on convergence combined with the versatility and credential management capabilities that we offer.
You mentioned smart cards as a form of strong authentication.
Yeah.
So, what do you see as the future for smart cards in terms of adoption, and why do you think it's taken so long?
Yeah, that's a good question. I mean, the first thing to recognize is that when we talk about slow adoption in smart cards, let's look first at US government, for example. US government has widely deployed smart cards. over the last 3 years. Increasingly now, government contractors, people like Northrop Grumman, are also deploying smart cards. So really the slow adoption is mainstream enterprise. Why is mainstream enterprise being so slow to adopt smart cards? Up until recently, a smart card solution was unnecessarily complex, especially when you compared it to a one-time password token solution. For some bizarre reason, we as vendors in that space felt the need to explain in an immense amount of detail all of the technical aspects of PKI infrastructures and asymmetric keys in a way that there was no real need to when you dealt with an OTP token. So a company deploying one-time password tokens would just kind of look at this device and go, hey, it's a device, and if I've got the device, I can get onto the network. That's cool. Companies looking at smart cards felt, hey, it's a device, but it's got a PKI credential in, and somehow there's a private key there, and I need to understand all of that. So the success to driving adoption of smart cards within enterprise is partly going to come from us being able to elevate them so people just think of them as another device that gets them into your computer system, gets you into your network. And we're able to do that with the products that we now have on the market. The second reason why there's been a slow adoption, if you like, is that smart cards bring a tremendous amount of additional benefit over and above, as I say, one-time password tokens, which are really the primary form of strong authentication in enterprise today. And those benefits are, in addition to encryption and signing, the ability to use the smart card to log on to a server, to log on to a Windows workstation. Now, traditionally, strong authentication has been focused on being deployed at the perimeter, logging onto the VPN, logging onto Citrix. And so the need to protect individual machines hasn't been perceived to be that great. Now, when we think about the threat method that we talked about earlier, we see that being able to protect individual machines, individual servers, is just as critical as being able to protect the perimeter. And so this really pushes smart cards to the fore. No longer are they complex to deploy. We've made them simple to deploy. And no longer are their added value irrelevant. It now has become highly relevant with the kind of attacks that we're seeing. So as those blocks are removed, we see a far greater adoption and interest in smart cards. And a survey recently done by Aberdeen and published, the white papers on the website, showed that in the last 6 months, the number of enterprises considering deploying one-time password token solutions had dropped from 26% to 10%, while the number of enterprises considering deploying smart cards had risen from 14 to 24%. It's a tremendous shift in a 6-month period. And however skeptical you are about that set of results, it nonetheless does point to a very significant trend, and one that's being borne out by the experience that we're getting from our customers.
That is interesting, and that is quite a shift. And so, going along the same lines, looking toward the future, what does ActivIdentity see in the future for how you can optimize identity assurance solutions for enterprises?
Sure. The ability to offer truly versatile solutions, the ability to enable an enterprise to say, okay, I've got this set of users who need access to these resources, and this credential, this method of authentication, represents the appropriate balance between ease of use and security for that user group, for that set of applications. And then over here, I've got this user group over here, and they have a different need in terms of the kind of applications they want to access, the kind of security they need, the kind of usability that they require. Being able to offer solutions that address those heterogeneous requirements is really key to where we will continue to take the product strategy within this company. Secondly, convergence, as I talked about earlier, it will be a key driver for the product strategy and a key way in which we differentiate ourselves and really help our customers to realize the benefits of investment that they've already made in physical access technologies. And thirdly, if you ask me what big new set of requirements is out there on the horizon that necessitates strong authentication, I would definitely point to the trend towards cloud-based computing. So, if you think about it, 10, 15 years ago, enterprises worked out that, okay, if we're going to give somebody access to the network, we better put strong authentication in place if they're coming in from the outside, from the public internet. because all of our resource goodies are sitting there on the network, from the CRM system to the ERP system to the budgeting system to the time and expenses system. Now what's happening? Well, half, if not more, of those resources are now sitting out there in the public network in the form of cloud-based applications, your CRM system, your ERP system, your time and expenses, your HR system. A good portion of those are going into the cloud. And so logically, if you care about protecting that data, those resources, you should be equally inclined to put strong authentication around those as you were to put strong authentication around your network. Mm-hmm. And so our product strategy is very much aligned with enabling our customers to do that. So really what customers are looking for at the end of the day is a company that can be their partner, that understands their problems going forward and evolves their solutions to meet those problems without requiring them to come back and start again on a regular basis. And our vision in a nutshell is to be that company.
Well, that's terrific. Thank you, Julian. This has been very interesting.
Cool. Good. Thank you.